Hello students, coming to new part of protein metabolism, that is amino acid pool. We have seen that proteins are the most abundant organic compounds and they constitute about 10 to 12 kg of the total body weight. These are nitrogenous macromolecule. They are consist of L-alpha amino acids. Out of the 20 naturally occurring amino acids, 10 are dietary essential. That means they are not synthesized in the body, whereas 10 are dietary non-essential. These amino acids undergo their own metabolism. They synthesize their own products and they have its own function. So, proteins undergo degradation, that means proteolysis, and release individual amino acids. Protein metabolism is more appropriately known as amino acid metabolism. It has about 100 grams of free amino acid pool. Free amino acid pool, 100 grams. Out of this, 50% is contributed by glutamate and 10% is contributed by essential amino acids. The concentration of intracellular amino acid is always greater than extracellular amino acid, and hence to enter into the cell, these amino acid has to cross the gradient, and that means they need an active transport to transport amino acid intracellularly. This amino acid pool is maintained by two factors, that is input, the processes that contributes to the amino acid, the sources that contributes to the amino acid, and the output, the metabolic pathways that utilize amino acid. Daily, almost 50 grams of proteins are broken down and free amino acids are released in the kidneys. So kidneys filter around 50 grams of amino acid, which are almost completely reabsorbed, and only traces of free amino acids are present in urine. Now let us see this body amino acid pool. The factors that contributing input are turnover of body protein, around 300 to 400 grams of body protein is continuously broken down and then resynthesized. You know, the body proteins are in dynamic state. That means the proteins are continuously broken down and then they are resynthesized from the amino acids. So, various proteins have different half-lives. For example, enzymes or digestive enzymes or plasma proteins have small half-lives, hours or days, whereas constitutional proteins like collagen has half-lives of up to months or years. So, how the protein turnover is controlled? The protein turnover is controlled by a small polypeptide called as a ubiquitin. This ubiquitin tags the protein and take it to the proteasome, the machinery where protein is broken down to amino acid inside the cell. This ubiquitin especially tags the amino acid with PEST sequence. That means a protein with amino acid proline, glutamate, serine and threonine. And these proteins with this PEST sequence, that is proline, glutamate, serine and threonine, are preferentially attached with this ubiquitin, and these are taken to the proteasome whereby these are degraded, and these contribute for the free amino acid pool. Now second factor is dietary protein. Around 40 to 100 grams are protein are taken in the diet. Almost 30 to 50 grams are proteins are lost daily, and in order to compensate this loss, the diet must include the proteins in order to maintain the nitrogen balance. When dietary proteins are ingested, they are broken down by proteolytic enzymes and the amino acids are absorbed. They are enter into this amino acid pool. The purpose of dietary protein is to provide the amino acids, especially essential amino acids, so that the daily loss of protein is maintained or fulfilled. The third is synthesis of non-essential amino acid. You know, non-essential amino acids can be synthesized in the body and these contribute to the free amino acid pool. 10 out of these 20 amino acids are non-essential. They are synthesized in the body and they contribute to free amino acid pool, and their formation is variable. It is as per the requirement of the body. So these things contribute for the free amino acid pool. Now, the metabolic pathways that utilize amino acids. Number one is synthesis of body protein. Synthesis of body protein. Almost equal number or equal amount of body protein which is broken down is synthesized daily, and synthesis of body protein takes place especially for the plasma proteins, for the enzymes, for the hormones, for the contractile proteins, etc. Those proteins which are less half-life are resynthesized at a faster rate. So the breakdown of the protein and synthesis of body protein, they are contribution of this total protein pool, that is 10 to 12 kg. This is one, synthesis of body protein. Second, from free amino acid pool we can form non-protein compounds. Non-protein compounds are synthesized from this free amino acid pool are creatine, purine, pyrimidines, porphyrines, and phospholipids. It is around 30 grams per day. It is estimated that around 10 to 15% of the energy is contributed by amino acid. The energy out of the total energy requirement of the body, 10 to 15% of the energy is contributed by these amino acids. And the last is some amino acids. Amino acids, when taken excess in the diet, there is no storage form of amino acid. So the excess amino acids are either oxidized to form energy, or they are converted, the carbon skeletons are converted into carbohydrates via pyruvate or oxaloacetate, and then or fats. This becomes predominant when there is excess intake of dietary proteins. The maintenance of the steady state of the amino acid, the maintenance of steady state concentration of circulating amino acid between the meals depend on the net balance between availability of amino acid by protein breakdown and utilization by various tissues. So muscle is the important tissue from where the protein or amino acids are released. 50% of the amino acids are of the body pool of free amino acids are generated from the muscles, and liver, as there are enzymes for urea cycle, takes away these amino acids and take out excess of nitrogen, dispose the excess of nitrogen or amino group as urea. So muscle and liver play important role in the maintaining this amino acid pool. Now let us see what happens in the fasting state. In the fasting state, this muscle releases most of the amino acid, as we have already seen. 50% of amino acids are released by muscles, and these are mostly in the form of alanine, which is taken up by liver. Also, glutamine is released and is taken up by kidney and the gut. This is glutamine. Now, most of the glutamine taken up, extracted by this kidney and the gut are converted into alanine and is taken up by the liver again. So glutamine is taken up by gut and kidneys, is converted to alanine and then is taken up by the liver. Glutamine taken up by the kidney also helps in acid-base balance where ammonia is excreted in the kidney. In the brain extracts branch chain amino acids, specifically valine, in the fasting state for its energy purposes. Let us see what is glucose alanine cycle. See, this is liver, this is muscle. What happens in the muscle? Glucose is broken down for energy purposes by glycolysis and it is converted into pyruvate. Pyruvate, by transamination, is converted to alanine. So, amino group is added to this pyruvate by transamination. The enzyme required is alanine transaminase. This alanine is released into the bloodstream. This alanine is released into bloodstream and is taken up by the liver. Alanine is a glucogenic amino acid, and most of the glucose synthesized from the amino acid is from alanine. And liver has a potential that it can convert alanine into glucose to the level of 20 to 30 times of normal alanine level. So, in the liver, alanine is taken up by hepatocytes. Now, alanine is converted by transamination. Enzyme required is alanine transaminase and amino group is released. Then it is converted into pyruvate. Pyruvate by gluconeogenesis is converted into glucose. Glucose now can be released into circulation. The glucose released in the circulation, when needed, muscle take this glucose for energy purposes and again it will convert it into alanine. Alanine enter into liver by gluconeogenesis, converted into glucose. The two purposes are solved by this mechanism. One, glucose is resynthesized in the liver, and number two, amino groups are transferred from muscles to the liver in the form of alanine. Now, what happens in the postprandial when person consumes a diet rich in proteins? So, what will happen in that case? When person consumes a diet rich in protein, then the amino acids are extracted by these planking tissues and these amino acids are taken up by the muscles. So, amino acids, 20% of branch chain amino acid are taken up by liver, out of which from liver these are 60% of the branch chain amino acids are taken up by the muscles. What changes in the postprandial phase of that of fasting phase? In fasting phase, muscle was releasing the branch chain amino acid and it is giving it branch chain amino acid and valine to the brain, which is utilizing branch chain amino acid as a source of energy. In case of postprandial level, the gut absorbs amino acids and these amino acids are taken up by liver and most of these are taken up by the muscles and they are stored so that in the fasting stage they are again liberated to in order to supply energy for brain and alanine and glutamine are released. Fate of free amino acid on release of digestion or protein turnover. What will happen to this free amino acid which is absorbed after digestion or breakdown of the protein? Now this free amino acid, it will synthesize new protein or its fate is its amino group is taken out by transamination. So by transamination, alpha ketoglutarate is converted to glutamate. By deamination, this amino group is released and it enters into urea cycle and urea is excreted out. So this is the fate of amino group of this free amino acid. Then what will happen? There is a carbon skeleton of amino acids. Carbon skeleton. These carbon skeleton or keto acids now can enter into Krebs cycle and they are oxidized to carbon dioxide and they will produce energy. Almost 10 to 15% of the energy is generated from this carbon skeleton of amino acid. Then glucose can be synthesized from glucogenic amino acid and fat can be synthesized from this carbon skeleton of amino acid to pyruvate and acetyl-CoA. So this is the fate of free amino acids in the body. Then let us see about the nitrogen balance. What is nitrogen balance? There is nitrogen intake and nitrogen output. The balance in between nitrogen intake and nitrogen output is called as nitrogen balance. In normal healthy adult, the intake almost equal to the output of the nitrogen. Intake of the nitrogen in the diet is almost all equal to the output of the nitrogen and hence it is said to be person is said to be in nitrogen balance. If the intake is greater, intake of nitrogen substance is greater than the nitrogen output, then person is said to be in positive nitrogen balance. And this occurs in childhood and pregnancy where new and new tissues are being synthesized and there occurs deposition of amino acids and protein in the body. Hence there is a positive nitrogen balance. In case of output exceeds the intake, it is called as a negative nitrogen balance. And when it will take place? So there is malnourishment. So sufficient proteins are not there in the diet. So intake is less, output will remain the same and there occurs negative nitrogen balance. So also starvation. What will happen in the starvation? This carbon skeleton of amino acids are taken up for energy purposes and there occur negative nitrogen balance. Also, in some chronic diseases, when metabolic rate is higher, then there also occur the negative nitrogen balance.